What's up, fellow cold email nerds? In today's video, I'll show you how to set up notifications so that every single time that a good reply comes in through the door, be it in SmartLead, Instantly, or any other sort of cold email automation platform, you can notify the client via an email, you can add those lead details to a Google Sheet, and you can then finally notify the client via Slack as well, just to make sure that they are on top of replying to the prospect. So in a nutshell, the first thing to keep in mind is that if you want to skip this entire video and you just want to get this exact automation, all you need to do is go underneath the video and there will be a link to a guide right underneath. So click on that and you will get access to this entire automation. Now, as soon as you do that, all you would need to do is go inside of Make, go into Scenarios and create a new scenario in the top right-hand corner. And then when you see the three dots at the bottom of the screen, you'll click on that and you'll click on Import Blueprint, and then you can choose a file, and this will be the blueprint that I give you completely for free underneath the video. So if you just want this entire blueprint, this is the entire process that you will follow. If not, and if you've got the patience for 10 minutes learning how to do this completely from scratch, then in that case, I'm going to show you right away. So the first prerequisite is for you to get a free make.com account and for you to go into Scenarios and click on Create a New Scenario. Now, for context, if you're new to Make, don't be scared. It's like any other automation platform. It could get tricky, but realistically, we're just going to explain to you like the real basics. This plus button in the middle of the screen basically gives you access to all individual apps and all individual actions that you can potentially take with any form of automation. So and they're referred to as modules inside of make.com. So a module is like an action that you want to perform. So for the purpose of this one, the first thing that we want to do is we want to type in the word webhook, and we will make sure that we select the custom webhook, which triggers when webhook receives data. So we'll click on that, and I'll explain in a second what webhook is. At this moment in time, we'll click on add, and then over here you can give it a name. So for example, in this case, I'm going to say B2B boosted email replies for YouTube, right? And then we'll click on save, and it will give us this random URL link, which in other words this is the place where the email reply notification will arrive. So this is where all the data from your email sending platform will arrive. At this moment in time, we can click on save, and this will generate this huge URL link for us, which we can see over here, and we can click on copy address to clipboard to make sure that we have this webhook URL. So essentially, when the data arrives from SmartLead, like Growth Machine, Instantly, whatever platform you're using, this data will then arrive to this webhook inside of Make. In the meantime, what I advise you to do, go inside of your email sending platform's account and go look for webhooks. Now, webhooks are available on any plan above like $50 typically. And as soon as you stumble across webhooks in your settings, you will click on Add Webhook. And over here, you'll need to name the webhook so you remember. So in this case, I'm going to say TY YouTube testing Saturday, because it's a Saturday today, right? This will be the most confusing thing to read for anyone later down the line. And then over here, we'll copy and paste the webhook that we just got from our account inside of make.com. So we'll basically copy the thing from the clipboard, copy and paste the webhook here. Now, typically, you will have quite a few options of what type of notifications you want to receive. So this is like what data and what actions do you want to be notified about. Now, you can filter them based on a specific client. So if I select client here, it will give me a drop down of all the clients. And I can then say, oh, any of my replies I want to be notified about. The account level notifications are all the notifications across the entire SmartLead account. So if you have a bunch of people that sit inside of your SmartLead account, if you have a bunch of clients, you probably don't want to choose the account level ones because you're going to be like burning through a lot of notifications throughout the day. Or you can be notified about a specific campaign. So for example, if you click on the campaign, you can select on this drop down. I'm not going to click on that because then you'll see the names of all my clients. And for example, in this case, I selected Clay London, which is an event that I spoke at. And this is like my follow-up sequence with the people that attended it, right? So you will select the individual campaign. You will either select the client or the account level, up to you. And then you can click on event type over here. And this will be a drop down as well, which tells you what actions you want to be notified about. So in theory, you can be notified every single time that you send an email. So every time that an email is sent. I'm not going to go through these ones because most of them are pointless, but the two main ones that you probably should consider, the first one being the email replies. but a lot of the time the email reply is going to be like an out of office or a do not contact. So you should not really care about those, but you should be aware that that's an option. Or secondly, you can be notified when a lead category gets updated. So I'm sure by now you know how to categorize your email replies. So AI puts it into a bucket. And in this case, you can once again click on the drop down here and you can select information request, interested, and meeting request so that any positive replies that come through the door, they're automatically categorized by AI and you get notified. Sounds good, right? So in this case, what we need to do is go back into our make scenario. At the bottom of the screen, you should see over here the run once option. So this is the ability to test out the actual automation before pushing it live, right? So we'll click on run once, and at the same time, over here, we'll click send test to the webhook. At this moment in time, I anticipate that the data arrives, and if it gives you a 1 in the top right-hand corner, you can click on the bubble, and you can see all the data that arrived. So in this case, we have the campaign name, we have the name of the people that replied to the campaign, we have the app URL. So if you copy and paste this into the browser, you can reply to this lead automatically, right? So what we'll do about this is, first of all, you will right-click on this webhook module. So you'll right-click on it, you will click on rename, and you will type in trigger email reply from SmartLead, or whatever the platform is that you're using, right? At that moment in time, make sure to save it at the bottom of the screen, because make sometimes could be funny and it could hallucinate potentially. And this is the time at which we need to decide, what do we want to do next? What do we want to occur next? So in this case, I'm going to click on add another module, and I want to notify myself via email every single time that this happens, right? So I'm going to type in Gmail, and I will look at all the options in Gmail, and the chances are I just want to send an email to myself telling me that, hey, someone just replied to my email. In this case, you might need to click on add over here to make sure that you're signed into your Gmail account, so you authorize Make to send emails on your behalf automatically. For the to, this is basically who you want to notify. So in this case, you can type in the email of the client. So in this case, I'm just going to type in my own email. Nothing too exciting here. And then subject line, I'm going to say new lead, 4 exclamation marks. And then I'm going to just basically just drag and drop all of these data like that, right? So I'm just going to say this, that, blah, blah, blah. So the way I'll structure it is something like this. I actually shortcutted it because I basically copied and pasted the template from before. But if I was to do it again, all I'm going to do is just type in the text. And then if I want to basically select a specific part of this, a specific custom variable, I'm just going to say email, and then I'm going to drag the email here, right? So that's the way you will go about it. Sometimes I add a video as well. So I typically have a Loom video of myself showing the process of how to manage the lead replies in case if someone does not have the common sense of how to do that themselves, right? And at that moment in time, you can click on save. And once again, you can right-click on this module and run this module only. So remember, the module is just one action. It's just one part of the entire automation. So in this case, it's just this second step. And I'm going to click on run this module only. At that moment in time, it's going to say, hey, the data still hasn't arrived from here, which is totally cool. It's completely fine. So you will have to just hard code the data. So in other words, you just basically just give it some placeholder data. So in this case, I'm going to type in my first name, last name, campaign name. I'm just going to say test. And I'm going to type in app URL, which is unlockclay.com, which is, typically the app URL will be what you need to click on in order for you to actually be then redirected to SmartLead to reply to that lead. And straight away, we can see over here, the bubble pops up in the top right-hand corner. It gives us a 1, which means that the automation is successful, it's working fine. And on top of that, if you want to see how this looks inside of an actual email, you can go into your Gmail inbox right now. See this lovely notification at 8:20 in the morning, which says, hey, we have all the data that passed through, and we even have the URL. So if I click on this, I get redirected straight to the inbox, so I can see all the lead information there. Happy days, right? So at this moment in time, because we don't want to be too naughty, we need to be really organized inside of Make. Otherwise, it gets really confusing. We're going to give it a title. So we'll call it YouTube Reply Notifications 1, for example, just so we remember what automation this is. And over here, we'll right-click on this module and we rename it. And we'll say action, send email to client about new lead. And at this moment in time, you're probably thinking, okay, but what other manual steps do we typically have in the process? So typically, we would get a lead replying. We probably want to log this data somewhere, right? We want to put this data in a Google Sheet maybe. So how about we automate that as well? So the way we'll automate the Google Sheet part is we can simply go and create a Google Sheet. So I'm just going to type in here first name, last name, and campaign URL. I'm going to give it a really generic name, so something like Smart Leads Saturday notifications, because it's a Saturday morning when I'm recording this, sadly. And all we're going to do is go back into the make scenario. We'll click on the plus. We'll type in Google Sheets, and we can see Google Sheets here. And if we click on show more, it will give us an action where we're able to add a row. So what this will do is every single time that there is a new lead that replies to our emails, as soon as they get categorized as a meeting request or an information request, we will add it as a row inside of this Google Sheet. Crazy, right? Anyways, I promise you this video is not scripted, by the way, in case you're wondering. So over here, we're going to select the spreadsheet. And in this case, one thing to keep in mind, every time when I show you, and this looks super easy, that's because I've already signed into these accounts. So a lot of the time, you just need to click on add, and then you will sign into whatever your Gmail account or your Google Sheets account in this case, right? Next up, in the spreadsheet here, we'll click here to choose file. You might have to do a bit of work here by just typing in the name of the file. So in this case, it finds the file in the Google Drive, and straight away it fetches the sheet name. So we need to confirm that we want to populate this sheet 1, because this tab is called sheet 1 over here. And we say, yes, we want to populate sheet 1. And now we just need to match the first name. So once again, the first name from here, we just tap it and we just drag it along. Same here. And then the campaign URL, which I believe is somewhere here. Yeah, which is the app URL here. And essentially, all we then need to do is just click on save. Make sure that you save the scenario throughout. I know I'm probably sound overly OCD about this, but trust me, I learned it the tough way so far. A lot of the time I don't save it, and it just goes, it doesn't work that well. And what we then need to do is just drag them across so they look more aesthetically pleasing to look at. And if you right click on this, you can once again run this module only, and this will test if this actually works. Now, because we don't want to waste any credits inside of Make right now, we're just going to give it some data to transfer without this is just basically fake test data to test out if this works. We'll click on OK. And at that moment in time, if I'm as good as I think I am, this data should have just populated inside of the Google Sheet. And by the way, can you see how it says Unlock Clay in the campaign URL? I teach you cool stuff like this inside of the Unlock Clay course, which teaches you Clay in 3 hours. So if you want to hang out with me for 3 more hours, just go to unlockclay.com. That was just a cool integration of the ad there as well. And once again, in this module, we'll just right-click on it. We'll click on Rename, and I'm going to say Action, Add Lead to Google Sheets. Now, at this moment in time, you're probably thinking, what else could we actually do? Like, what else do we typically do manually? So the chances are you email the client, but the client's inbox is full. The chances are sometimes you could even be stuck in junk or spam, or they just simply do not refresh their inbox anxiously as regularly as you do. So in this case, what we can do is we can copy and paste the exact email that we typically send them, and we can send it to them via Slack. So the way we'll do that is we'll click on Add Another Module. We'll type in Slack. And once again, if you click on Show More, you will have all the different options, and you will have the option of creating a message. And in this case, once again, you will need to click on Add at the top of the screen in order to sign into your account. You can then select manually or select from a list of channels. So in this case, I'm going for a public channel. I'm going to select the general channel by just clicking on this dropdown. And I'm going to copy and paste the text directly from the previous module. So I'm going to copy and paste the exact text from this Gmail part here. So I'm copying and pasting this entire text by just Command A. Not sure if you know this, but if you use Command A, or I think Control A if you're on like an Android or something, then you can just copy and paste it directly into Slack here. And this way, you will then click on Save. And once again, if you right-click on this module, you can run this module only. You will type in the email address, first name, last name, and whatever, unlockclay.com. And then we can click on OK. And once again, we should see in the top right-hand corner that it gives us a 1, which means that this was successfully done. And just to double check, what we can do is we can go into Slack. And inside of Slack, it says, we just got a new lead. Happy days. That means this automation works to absolute perfection. I absolutely love to see it. And finally, just to make sure that we remain absolute perfectionists here, we'll right click on this, we'll click on rename, and we'll make sure to say action, notify client via Slack, or whatever, nudge client via Slack. So in a nutshell, this is step-by-step how to set up this entire system. Worth noting that the chances are you probably may make a couple of errors while setting this up, so I recommend you download the guide underneath the video. The way you'll do that is by clicking on the guide where it says link to the guide. More than that, I'll also upload a Google form if you want to join the course which teaches you how to use make.com for all sorts of fancy automations which are fairly entry level, and it's like a gateway drug into the automation space. By all means, I'll just leave that form there, so if you want to see 50, maybe 100 videos like this one, walking you step by step how to do that, by all means, just let me know. And all you need to do is fill in that Google form in order to show you interest. Other than that, I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this one. And let me know if I missed any other details out, and let me know any other tutorials that you want to see on this channel. I'll see you in the next video. And right now, I'm off to actually have a quality weekend after recording this video for the last 15 minutes. Cheers. Have a good one.